So in the last video, you guys watched me put the drive shaft in and then fix up a couple of the turbo coolant hoses. So for the time being, I figured I'd just start unboxing parts. It is really cold today, so I can't guarantee that any of these things are actually going to go on. It's kind of hard to work in my hands, but I'll go ahead and unbox it and show you what I got going on today. Okay, so this one, Chase Bay's water neck, but a different size. So here are both of them, old versus new. So the one on the left right here, that's the old one, is slightly larger, just by a couple of millimeters. This is the size that is actually closer to the 350Z radiator. So I'm gonna be putting that one on today. Super easy install, so I can guarantee that's going on. So in a couple of the other packages, I ordered both of these. So this is, I believe, a 120-degree connector, female to female, 6AN, and then this is a 6AN Y piece, or a Y block, I guess is what they call it. Hopefully this will be able to solve the issue on the water neck to the turbo coolant hoses. If not, I'll just have to keep finding pieces until I get it right. Next up, this is the hose I ordered for the fuel line. That is going to be a PTFE. I don't know if you can see the end of it. It's got some white color to it, but that's the PTFE. So this is E85 compatible. Will I be running E85? No, probably not, but I could if I wanted to. But there's that, and then a bunch of different fittings are going to be in this bag right here. Not really sure what this is. We'll find out though. And then this should just be a little piece that screws to something so you can, route the line past something, whether it's like your firewall or your fuel rail or whatever. Anyways, all that stuff. It's a whopping 20 foot. My hands are already freezing. It's a big box for some small stuff, but man, the packaging is nice. You can hear my family. I'm a goose, bro. Anyways, 2 fittings for the end of the fuel filter, which is in this box. I'll go ahead and pop this open too. Oh dear, I dropped the sticker. Look at that. That was another sticker that just fell. Anyways, that's the fuel filter. Very high quality, as everything from Radium is. Both of the ends that were in those other 2 boxes go here and here, and then those connect to the fuel line itself with the 6AN connector. And I'll probably have to put this on my frame rail somewhere, but we'll find out. Radiator fan. So this fan says 12 volt, 80 watt. I think it's a 12-inch diameter, so maybe it'll fit in that core support over there. Maybe it won't, but I got 2 of them the same size. I don't really want to trim the core support up a whole lot, so we'll have to see what kind of positioning we'll have to work with on these, but they are pretty thin. They're not super thick, only about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches with the point at the end there, but I like it. Now this is one of the pieces I was looking forward to the most. If you can't already tell what this is an intercooler. So that's going to be sitting like right there somewhere. Be able to see it through the front bumper. That'll be pretty cool. Figured I'd go ahead and see. These are going to fit. That fits really good. That's not going to fit at all. Even if I wanted to, maybe I could push it forward. Then I'd have to relocate the oil cooler, or the power steering coolers, which I don't really want to do. Maybe I'll just have to get online and see what other people are doing for their fans, but yeah, that side's much, much smaller. And as per my luck, it's starting to rain. So what I'm gonna do is just put this on and go the fuck inside. I'm not staying out here working on shit in 30-degree weather with rain coming down. It'll probably start snowing soon, to be honest. To be honest, Jesus. If you couldn't tell, English is not my first language. I'm actually fluent in Spanish and only Spanish. So if you guys can hear me speaking English, you're crazy. You're certifiably insane. That's on there. Got a piece of tape on there. I'm gonna close this and go inside and not freeze to death. All right, so I recently made a trip to go get some more fittings. I actually found a place in town that's got them. Yay. Weirdly, it was a Ford dealer. Mel Hamilton Ford has all the AN fittings I could find, and let me just show you what I got. I got a shit ton of different AN fittings. They're all 6AN. Anyways, lots of bends and curves. This looks really freaking weird, but this is the best setup I could really make. So one comes out of the water pipe down there, and it goes into a Y. That one comes over, and it's probably going to route to that top turbo line there. And I'm thinking about turning this one down and going underneath the water hose pipe. And then I also did grab a pipe for this little piece back here, which it is the same one that I use for the water bypass pipe up to the heater core on the other side. So surprisingly, this fits in both spaces. So if you're doing this swap with the GE water pipe, 2 of these will do the job. 2 of these. And it says 18741. It's probably backwards, but yeah. So I just cut about that much off the end with a box knife. Look how clean the cut is. I don't know how I did it that well, but I'm gonna test and see if it's gonna fit or not. So I know that's gonna go on because I've been able to test fit that before. Nice, ease the moment of truth. It's kind of kinked, so maybe it needs some more. Probably like that much. All right.
I don't know, dude.
Everybody, this is Ant. Say hi, Ant.
What up,
All right, Ant did this thing over here. We'll try to see if we can see it. There's his name on it right there. Ant, you see it right there?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hell yeah.
So that's Ant. Ant's gonna like help out a little bit.
I'm really just gonna be standing here, but yeah, we finna do this.
Just take a second to take in his beautiful mug before he disappears.
Shut the f up.
You can press record, and I'm not gonna let it run forever. Like, you can stop and start. Make sure my hair doesn't look like I'm 10 years old.
You definitely look 10 years old.
Oh, fuck you. I'm gonna put that in the video. Anyways,
what are we doing, Yock?
All right, so this is the hose I had to cut to get to fit here. I've got a clamp on it right there. If you want to put the camera over here real quick, it's hanging off the side, but if I like kind of push it over, I think I can get it. So with a clamp, that'll probably seal really well. I'm gonna try to get this bottom turbo hose off. I found this in the back of my shed. It was attached to like one of my old coolant things on the old GE engine head, so I'll probably just snip that off right there. It should fit down in here somewhere. And then of course I've got all my AN fittings that should line up with that shit. We'll see. But yeah, skin off. Please tell me that got cut.
We're snipping the foreskin.
Dude, look how it landed. Get that hose. Ooh. That's going nowhere, dude. It's kind of weird, like squished right there, but it'll flow, I think.
It should flow. It might leak, but fuck it.
It'll come easy.
Usually I don't come easy, but...
Oh, well, I always come easy.
Oh, yeah.
Less than 5 shit. I just wanted to take a quick second to say, look at this. Look how creative I'm being. I'm putting a wrench through there just to get these to tighten. Okay, so it is now the next day. I mean, I kind of ended the last clip a little quick, simply because it got really dark and really cold, and I just wanted to finish up. Basically, everything's done that I wanted to get done yesterday. I'll go ahead and show you what I finished up on. So if we look in here, you can see that this hose is on, and I have a very solid contraption of AN fittings. They're a bit scratched up and scuffed up and multicolored, but what matters is that this should be functional now. So the water is going to come out of the water neck there and flow into the turbo coolant tube. So we've got one pipe going underneath and one on top. And additionally, this is now in the back. So basically the heater core will be working. Essentially heat, that's all that matters. I got heat in the car. The final thing I really have to worry about now is getting the bottom of the radiator hooked up over here to the water neck way down there. I also noticed that that hose is really close to that tab, so I might cut that off just to make sure that I don't rub a hole through the hose there. But regardless, that means that the coolant system is basically done, minus one hose. All right, so it is now another day. I'm gonna go ahead and try and start on the fuel line. So I got my PTFE hose. I got a couple of fittings that came in the box, which I haven't opened yet, so I'll go ahead and do that. So here are all of those. I mean, there's 180-degree fittings, angled fittings, probably like, I don't know, not quite 45 degrees, but close, but just a bunch of fittings to kind of get the process started. So what I'll probably do right now is I'll probably go over to the fuel rail and start like checking and seeing where I can fit what fittings in order to kind of fit everything around the intake, because I have to get a line from here around and underneath most likely, and then of course one off the back and down over that direction towards the other side of the car. All right, I just want to make a quick announcement and say that it is another day. I basically gave up yesterday. I was trying to feed the fuel line from inside the car to underneath the car, and I could not find a single space where I could get the fuel line to go through from the top and actually be able to see it from the bottom. Next day, which is today, I walk out here. First thing I do is stick the fuel line in the corner, and it goes right underneath. Don't know how, but that's just my luck. Anyways, I'll show you how I did it. So here's the coil of fuel line, and I kind of just shoved it that direction towards this corner. And I just pushed really, really fucking hard. And with enough brute force, it finally gave free. And then I came underneath the car, and it's right there. So this is the fuel tank, and where is it? These are the other hard lines. They go up the frame rail, right? So I think I can just pull this through here, maybe route it behind my pinch weld. This is a terrible angle. There we go. Maybe route it behind my pinch weld, or find a way to curve it this way, and then it can follow with the rest of the hard line that way. Also, there's a freaking little wasp nest right there. I'm gonna destroy that. I don't want that on my car. Okay, so my line's pushed through, right? And if you were wondering about how much length you need, I got a 20-foot line, so let me just show you how much that gets you real quick. So that's the end of it right there, right? So I come out, if I don't trip over my freaking creeper, comes underneath the car, keeps coming, keeps coming, keeps coming, keeps coming. That's how much you have. All the way up to here. So the reason I got it that long was because basically I thought I would have plenty to run from obviously the fuel pump for the return line all the way up to the fuel rail, and then I'd have some extra to run from the fuel rail to the sending line that's a hard line underneath the car. Because I'm thinking I'm only going to need about this much, right? So like it's going to go up the fuel rail, it's going to go up through the fender there, over, I said fuel rail, frame rail, and it's probably going to get cut off somewhere like there, right? But look how much I have left. That. So technically I could run the sending line from the back of that straight over here and straight down, and then find a way to connect it to the metal hard line over there. So I'm thinking I'll probably have more than enough at the very least. Anyways, next up I'm gonna try to put the little hose fitting on the end of the line. So if you have ever watched a video or you have ever worked with anything related to PTFE, you know that there's a process in order to actually get it together. Now I'm probably gonna do it inside the car, and it's not gonna be easy doing it this way, but basically you take the little nut off the end of this guy, which then looks like this after that. You're also going to take this little silver piece off, and before you slide anything on the line, you got to take your little tape off the end there. Just come off, bro. And then I just realized it'd probably be a good idea to use something angled instead of the original, because, or the straight one, not the original, but because my hose is kind of going that direction, and having a straight one would probably cause a really tight kink in this, or it'd be really hard to thread on. So I feel like if I did that, put that there, and then obviously the angle would, this is backwards, the angle would go like this, and then I could just push this back farther into the corner there, and then the angle of the piece would basically just keep the hose straight and keep it from being kinked or cause any issues with the fuel flowing through it. So that goes on first. Gotta make sure that the threads are facing towards the end of the hose. Anyways, the next step is to pry the steel braided line that is around the PTFE lining out of the way, so I can get the little silver piece in between it, which that's what that's gonna look like right there. Just a little bit of a flare on the steel lines. Do not touch them, they're very sharp, or at least don't put any pressure. Like, you can touch it obviously, just don't put any pressure on it because it's super sharp. It will cut you, you will bleed, so be careful with it. The next goes on the little silver piece that was in there. As you can see, the PTFE line is sitting kind of far in it. You want it to be like all the way to the edge as best as you can get it for the best kind of seal to keep everything from leaking, which is more like that. You can see that the white lining is very close to the end of that. All right, next the angled piece. This guy slides in there. Looks just like that once it's all the way down. Notice how there's no gap between the silver piece and the black fitting itself. And you slide your nut up and twist it until it's all the way to the tip there. Should be a slight gap where the threads stop. And the last thing I got to do is just tighten up both of these. So I think the size is 3/4, but obviously I can't tighten it with 2 wrenches while holding the camera, so I'm gonna do that off camera real quick, then I'll get back to you guys. All right, now that that's tight, I'm gonna slide this down here and see if I can get it to connect. So that is now attached to the little piece that comes off the fuel pump there, and then you can see that it angles right here, and then the hose goes way back down there in the corner. It goes straight past the side of the fuel tank and then to the bottom of the car. So now I just gotta tighten that, and then this line is pretty much 100% good to go. What I might do is put some Teflon tape on that thread and then put it back together, but otherwise it's fine. Okay, so that's Tefloned up, it's tightened, and if you guys were wondering what sizes these are, the nut right here and right here, these are, I believe, 11/16, and then those bigger nuts that actually attach to the PTFE hose, those are 3/4 of an inch. Now I can happily plug this back in and close this thing up, and I can close this door, never have to worry about it again unless fuel starts leaking out and I get a fire going, but if that happens, I'll just die. All right, so I disappeared for the last couple of hours, but I did want to show you exactly what I got done. So I started working on the fuel lines. Obviously you can see that I got the pressure regulator sitting here. There is a line going down here, and if we look up from the bottom, there's the bottom of the regulator straight up on top right there. You can see on the bottom there's a swivel, so on the very bottom of the regulator, that's the return line. So basically 90-degree fitting, PTFE line right here, runs all the way down this frame rail, come back right over here. I noticed they had this little cross member from factory, so I just ran the line across there and went underneath this piece of plastic, came back here, underneath the subframe, shut up airplane, over here to the corner of the fuel tank, and then straight up over to the fuel pump on the inside of the car. So if you remember, my original plan was to go with these lines and follow all the way up to the front and have the line coming from here and go across the back of the firewall or whatever. However, I chose to do it over here because this was actually probably the better option. There's a lot less obstructions over here, and obviously this is the cold side of the engine, so therefore this fuel line is not going to be interfering with the turbo or with the exhaust manifold at all. That's one less thing to worry about in case it starts leaking. I can avoid a fire there. Now, as for the hard line here, one of these is the evap and one of these is the fuel sending unit. I believe this one's the fuel line. Regardless, I'm going to try and find a way to make this go up. I'll probably bend the pipe up and then over this way, and then I'm going to put a fitting on it to change it to AN. I wouldn't really feel comfortable having the PTFE hose running right here past the exhaust manifold in the bottom of this turbo. I don't know how heat resistant that is. Of course, I could get some like wrap or whatever to put around it as it's running across here. I don't really want to take chances, so if I can, reuse some of the hard line and just run that over that direction, which will come back across the back of the firewall like I had originally planned for both lines to be, but just the one now. That'll make a 90 here, come underneath the fuel rail, and it'll meet up to this fitting right here. So fuel will be sent in from this direction, and then the regulator will regulate with the pressure, and then I'm going to get a fitting for this to put my damper on. Additionally, I put this little thing on this nipple that sticks out of the cylinder block. Cylinder head, not cylinder block, but I don't want water or coolant leaking out of that spot right there, so I went ahead and blocked it off. Went ahead and put the camshaft position sensor back in. And back underneath the car, I now have the slave cylinder hooked up to the transmission, so once everything is functional and filled up with fluid, this is also good to go. Anyways, so all said and done, got a lot of progress done on the Z in the last few days, so some of the coolant hoses are basically taken care of. I have one of those left, and that's just a lower radiator hose. I'm still trying to figure out sizes. I'm probably gonna have to run somewhere, again, O'Reilly's or AutoZone, and see if I can find some pieces in stock to make my own. And then of course I got a pretty freaking good start on the fuel system as well. Anyways, by the next video, the lower radiator hose and the sending line for the fuel system should be completely taken care of. And then maybe we'll get around to doing something a little different. Who knows? As of right now, my order of priority is getting the coolant and the fuel done, but right after that will be the air cooling system, intercooler, all that stuff. So maybe something special's coming up. We'll see. Anyways, that's pretty much the majority of the content for this video. But before I do want to end the video, there's one last thing that I really want to say. One of the guys that watches the channel has reached out, FD Sauce on Instagram. He sent me some videos saying that he's been following along. He's been doing the swap along with me. Here are the clips that he sent me.
Everything is pretty much tucked away, super clean. That's the ECU, the wiring, everything is put away nice and neat.
As you can see, homeboy is a little bit farther along than me, as his car is actually running. He's got the stock ECU, I believe, and everything is running just fine. So yeah, he's ahead of me. I'm sure a couple more of you guys are ahead of me as well. So if you would like to, you can DM me on Instagram, and I would love to feature what you guys have made following my channel, or just any project you've got going on. Maybe I'll do some car reviews, man. That'd be pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.